Well, hello, good morning, and welcome to the morning news right here on New Day. My name is Beatrice Edu. Coming up in the next few minutes. More than half of candidates who sat 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination failed core mathematics. Also coming up, Ghana's export sector welcomes a reversal of 15% tariff on key Ghanaian products by the United States. And much later on the program, National Peace Council Chairman Reverend Fianu highlights long-standing inclusivity in faith-based schools. All these and more in the next few minutes. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Well, the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has begun investigations into the poor performance of over 200,000 students in the 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASE. This follows significant declines in performance in several core subjects following the release of the provisional result for the school candidate. Judith Brown reports.
A total of 461,736 candidates from 1,021 schools registered for the examination, representing a slight 0.24 increase over the 2024 entry figure. But the 2025 performance trends revealed alarming declines in key subjects. The West African Examination Council statistics show that more than half of the candidates, representing 220,008, failed core mathematics, making it the weakest performance recorded in 7 years. Head of Public Affairs at the West African Examination Council, WAEC, John Kapi, says the council has begun investigations into the poor performance of these candidates.
Well, as we speak, the chief examiners are putting together their reports, and then we will study them, and then we'll pass them on to the teachers who are teaching the candidates in the classroom. So for now, it will be difficult for us to explain specifically the reason for the poor performance. But when the chief examiner's report is ready, that would indicate to us where the children's weaknesses are and where there's a need for any form of reinforcement, if any.
He further says although a number of students' results have been withheld, WAEC is working around the clock to finish investigations into the withheld results by end of 2025.
We have a number of them withheld. And so if you look at it, you realize that the heading indicates that performance of candidates in the published results. So far, those we have published is what you've seen. There are still quite a number of them that we are still investigating. We want to make sure that we finish with all the cases before the end of December 2025.
John Kapi also explained that the number of malpractices recorded were mainly as a result of mobile phone infractions and foreign materials.
For those who had their entire results cancelled, it was as a result of mobile phone infractions. For the other candidates who may have subject results cancelled, it's as a result of collusion or bringing in foreign material into the examination hall. These are things that were detected when our monitors went around. So most of them, you'll find them copying from prepared notes, or some of them had come in there with their textbooks. So that's the reason we have had to cancel certain subject results of the candidates.
Contrasting the poor performance in other schools, English language recorded the highest pass rate, with 69% of candidates scoring between A1 and C6. In a statement issued on 29th November 2025, WAEC announced that the results have been uploaded online and are accessible to candidates in schools through the Council's official portal. The Council has also cautioned candidates to be wary of fraudsters who promise to upgrade results for a fee, stressing that all WAEC results are fully secured and verifiable. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
And we stay a bit longer on education because teacher unions are demanding clear assurances from the government that the proposed 50,000 housing units for teachers will be affordable and protected from political interference. Leaders of North and Nagrat say they will closely monitor the project, especially because it will be funded partly with teachers' pension contributions. Our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Poku brought us this report earlier.
For more than 2 decades, successive governments have made promises to provide decent accommodation for teachers across the country. The previous MPP administration pledged to deliver 10,000 housing units for teachers. That project, however, never materialized. Ahead of the 2024 elections, the National Democratic Congress promised 50,000 housing units for teachers, and after winning the polls, the government says it is ready to push the plan through. Under the proposal, part of the funding will come from the Ghana Education Occupational Pension Scheme, with teachers expected to make additional minimum contributions to support construction. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu says modalities for the project will begin next year. He also revealed that government has secured a partnership with an organization in Morocco to commence work.
I'm currently reviewing a paper and a proposal from the District Assembly Common Fund. And District Assembly Common Fund, GET Fund, GSOP, the pension fund of the teachers, and the Teachers Union, we intend to embark on a provision of 50,000 housing units for teachers under that The administrator of the District Assembly Common Fund was in Morocco a while ago, a few weeks ago, to engage with some of the partners. What we need is to identify what the funding mechanism will be for the delivery of it.
The teacher unions say they will fully support the agenda, but only if it truly benefits teachers. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Tanko Musa, said the President, John Dramani Mahama, must ensure that the houses are built.
His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, should change this narrative. Let it not be said that the teacher worked for 60 years and he could not even retire into a 2-bedroom house. No. It should be no. A teacher should be able to retire into a 2-bedroom house. A teacher should be able to retire at least minimum 2-bedroom house.
President of National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, Nje Kabonu, also stressed that affordability must remain a top priority.
Buildings should be affordable and ought to be within the reach of the average teacher. No, when the building is constructed and it's beyond the reach of the average teacher, that is when the politician and the businessman comes. Well, we spent money. We cannot leave these buildings to be lying fallow. When you look at the SNEED project, it was project meant for Ghanaian workers. Go and see those who own the properties now.
Both leaders are calling for a clear, comprehensive plan to guide the construction of the housing units.
In a separate development, the chairman of the Peace Council, Most Reverend Emmanuel Kofi Fiano, says faith-based schools have long informally accommodated students from different religious backgrounds. Speaking on hot issues, he explained that this tradition of inclusivity has been part of the educational culture for many years.
It is a project because over the years, this has been there. This practice of tolerating other religious groups in faith-based schools. Because it is clear that the various faith-based groups founded these schools for a purpose, an educational purpose, which is within the context of their own religious beliefs. But over the years, each group has tried to live out this one. But now we have formalized it that all groups do accept. So it means, for me, that if I am a Catholic and I go to a Methodist school, I know that when I go there, the Methodists have their own ethos, they have their own faith expression. I am agreeing that I would follow what is there, even though I know that they will also give me room to practice my Catholic faith.
Isn't that wrong?
No, it's not wrong. It is, within the Christian circles, it is ecumenism. I would say you are not forcing the person because in choosing to go to that particular school, you know the tenets of the school. So you have made an option. You have made an option to go to a Muslim school as a Christian. And so you will be following the Muslim practice within the school frame because if you don't do that, then there will be some people will be left out and that can be cause for indiscipline. So in making your choice to go to a particular school, you also accept at that time to follow the regulations of that school. And this is what has been agreed upon and understanding in this memorandum of understanding by all the faith-based groups.
And still on the National Peace Council, the Asantehene Otumfuo said to the second Boko-led mediation team will be meeting feeding parties at the Mensha Palace to try to conclude negotiations on finding a lasting solution to the age-long conflict. The chairman of the National Peace Council, Most Reverend Emmanuel Kofi-Fiano, says the commission has been involved in helping resolve the dispute.
We have been negotiating with the parties separately. We have been dealing with them from the regional office, from the Regional Peace Council. They have been meeting them, trying to bring them to a common understanding. But we didn't succeed to bring the two parties together before the president entrusted the thing to Otumfuo. Because you have to go slowly with them. You know, you go talk with this one, he tells you why he will not accept what has been said, so you go to the other party too. So you have to go back and forth. It's a long process. It's a slow, long process, but you always have to have hope that one day you will succeed in
So which
mediation.
means that your process had to truncate because Otumfuo had, taken over
Not
mediation.
truncate, but we suspended it.
You suspended it?
Yes, we
All right.
suspended
So
it.
the president then essentially curtailed your process to bring peace to Boko.
Well, I think he also saw the need to use another channel, and that need was the chieftaincy channel through Otumfuo. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we see everything in political colors. So whether it is true or not, you hear people talking about political coloring in all conflicts.
Are the politicians making it difficult for you to resolve conflicts up north, most especially the Boko conflict?
I wouldn't say directly. I wouldn't say they are directly making it difficult for us because we work with them. We work with the politicians as we go through our processes of mediation in all the cases that we have. And we need to collaborate with them. So I wouldn't say they are, because I haven't seen had any direct interference in what we are doing.
In a separate security issue, a circuit court in Tema has sentenced 2 police officers to a combined 13 years imprisonment for unlawful possession of narcotics and conspiracy to traffic narcotic drugs. The court, presided over by Her Lordship Eliano Kakra Barnes Boche, found Assistant Superintendent of Police ASP Nasiru Amadou and Corporal Emmanuel Minta guilty after nearly 4 years of trial. The facts presented in court suggest that the prosecutor, ASP Ernest Kofi, said that the case began in 2023 when a police officer at the Afenya District Police Command lodged a complaint regarding the suspicious activities of the 2 police officers. At the time, Amadou, 48, was the second in command at the Sakomono District Police Headquarters, working closely with Minta. Investigations revealed that the involvement of the 2 officers in the possession and attempted trafficking of narcotics, leading to the arrest and subsequent prosecution. Both officers were convicted on the charges and handed custodial sentences, bringing an end to a case that has drawn public attention due to the involvement of senior police personnel. Now, Ghana's export sector is heaving a sigh of relief after the United States revealed its 15% tariff on key Ghanaian, reversed rather, the 15% on key Ghanaian products. The decision, which comes after months of uncertainty, is expected to protect jobs, millions of dollars in revenue, and restore competitiveness for exporters in one of Ghana's most important markets. Enyonam Haliga reports.
The reversal of the U.S. tariff comes after months of concern from Ghanaian exporters. The 15% levy had threatened to make Ghanaian goods less competitive in the American market, particularly agricultural goods like cocoa, cashew, and ginger. The Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana says the decision is a timely confidence booster. Samson Asaki Awingobet is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana.
In fact, many people have lost their jobs. The exporter would have lost his job because if you do not have the financial muscles to go and then pay that amount of money to to the U.S. Government. Then of course your product it cannot enter into their market, and then also those who were also farming or producing or agrowers who were also producing and exporting, these exporters will come and buy from them and then process and export will also lose. So it was going to be a very huge impact, negative impact on the Ghanaian economy as well, knowing that we have had stability.
Beyond the immediate relief, economists suggest that Ghana could avoid major losses initially projected under the tariff regime.
We've done the analysis again. That is, if some commodities such as cocoa beans are going to be exempt, and cocoa representing about 51% of our exports to the U.S. market. The further analysis we have done points to the fact that this will come down to about 1.2 billion over a period of 5 years. So to that extent, it's good. And we look forward to whatever the gains are supposed to be.
Industry players are also urging government to take advantage of the momentum by investing more in processing, packaging and certification system to help Ghana diversify its export basket.
But I want to emphasize that let's look at standards and international requirement and the market requirement that they needed there. Get all the certifications that they needed before we can then send your produce out there. I will be so sad if Ghanaians send the product and they return your product back to Ghana. And I will not be happy with that. And I think that is why we should be able to work, we should be able to encourage each other.
With the tariff now off, the focus shifts to how quickly Ghana can scale up production and reclaim market share in the United States. Enyonam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, the government of Ghana through GNPC and GNPC Exploco is consulting Springfield Exploration on a potential state-led WCTP2 takeover, says Dr. Sulemana, who is the technical advisor at the Energy Ministry. He explains that this aims to protect declining assets and boost national oil production.
The government of Ghana, through the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, and its upstream subsidiary, GNPC Exploco, is currently engaged in constructive discussions with Springfield Exploration and Production Limited, SEB, on a potential state-led takeover of SEB's interest in the West Cape 3 Points Block 2, WCTP2. This is part of broader efforts to protect declining upstream assets and boost oil production, which has dropped significantly over the past few years. Technical advisor at the Energy Ministry, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, says government will undertake the valuation of the assets of the company to determine its next line of action.
We already have a field that has been the risk to some extent. When I say the risk, they've moved the process to a stage where if, let's say, the volume that they are talking about, if it's actually proven that that is what we have in place, it will change the fortunes. However, we are not just, government just moving to acquire the asset. It's not like that. It should give the current administration the benefits of the doubt. Yeah. This is the first time they promised to engage an independent expert with a proven record, track record, to be able to assess available data and even go further if it requires to do what was not even done during the unitization. I mean that they can do that, both technically and commercially. And if it's proven that it is nothing to write home about, I think government will just walk away from it.
Dr. Yusuf Sulemana allayed fears, saying the government will conduct further technical analysis on the field before going ahead with any move.
This boils down to the fact that we need an independent person with a proven track record. Even at the end of the day, if Petroleum Commission comes with the data, it might be doubtful with the other part, which is Springfield. And to put it on record, we are not going to use only Springfield data. Of course, that data was already contested. If it requires even drilling to acquire further data to prove beyond reasonable doubt technically that the field is what it is, then the government can move on.
The technical advisor at the Energy Ministry, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, spoke about what this will mean for Ghana if the field prove viable.
It will be very huge. For instance, this field, they are saying that the last analysis they did, the oil in place could be over 1.5 billion. Of course, that we're going to test to make sure it is true. We are talking about gas over 1 trillion. In fact, one analysis showed that it's about 1.2 trillion. The latest analysis we have is about 0.7 trillion. Even if it is 0.1 trillion or whatever. This is huge. And I'm just saying that if we actually will have a technical sound, a proven track technical, organization, which we are looking to get to ascertain this, and it is true, I can tell you that it's going to change the fortunes of Ghana.
With Ghana's crude oil production declining over recent years, coupled with uncertainties within the global energy transition, government considers it urgent to advance the development of the WCTP2 resource base.
And that's all for the morning news here on New Day on TV3. My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Do stay with us on New Day.
How are you? All of you, good morning to you. Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend.
Had a fantastic weekend, and we're excited to step into a new month.
I know.
On a Monday.
I know.
Yeah.
I got a couple of messages and calls like just this morning. Happy New Month. You know, it's become almost like the refrain or the thing now. Anytime we enter a new month, then you have significantly a lot of acquaintances and people who tend to know you to give you that welcoming
message.
It's as if something bad is going to happen, so be careful.
Nothing bad is going to happen.
Yeah,
so I guess we should welcome. We should give New Month shouts to our viewers.
Yeah.
Happy New Month!
Happy New Month! And we wish you all the best for the month as well. And it's the Christmas month, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the month of December. Welcome to a new day on TV3 Newday. This is the show that kickstarts every morning for you with energy, with vim, insights, and all of the good and positive vibes you can ask for on a morning show. And as we're starting a new month on a Monday with New Day, is a triple dose of goodness. Triple dose of goodness. And my people make calls to each other to have a hint of orange in their outfits, and didn't call me.
Yeah. Is it
they
orange?
Didn't call me.
I think I'm moving closer to your color on TV.
Yeah. Well, on TV it looks like that. Yeah.
I mean, the shades of pink. Kind of complementing what we're
wearing. And
which one is it? Is it Eddie Joy as well?
Yes, this is Eddie Joy.
Do you have shares in the business?
But we also have cash out, right?
Yeah.
So ushering you into the new month, and we have cash out, going with the short code *439#. And this is what you do as always with you dialing *439#. You begin this by going according to the prompt. And that prompt, as rightly you've seen on television, or if you're just monitoring, just in case you're from the bedroom trying to get yourself ready to go and bath and get ready to get out of the house to work, you're going to have the options. It's going to give you all 2 is where TV3 is. So you choose 2, okay? After you've chosen 2, you're going to get another prompt. It's going to ask you how many tickets you want. A lot of you don't know this is where the trick is. You know, everything else you want to enjoy for this new month is in 2. So once you choose 2, that ticket you choose is the option. All right, so when you choose 40, 50, 60, 30, etc., then those choices are yours. It means that your number is going to be replicated or is going to be on the dashboard 30 times or 40 times. Wow. So let's take it for somebody who does it for only 2. So it means your number is only appearing 2 times. So when electronically the thing mixes up and then the draw is made, I mean, those who tend to get lucky are those who choose more numbers. All right, so you choose 40, you choose 30, but if you choose it 2 times, fantastic.
So the more you beginning of the week, beginning of the month, you want to take advantage of this.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Anyway, did you know that today was World AIDS Day?
Oh, today is World AIDS Day.
Today is World AIDS Day. And on this day, we are reminded of this virus, which many years ago took over our airwaves and all comms on safe sex, being faithful to your partner, using condoms and so on. Many years down the line, we are now aware of the use of antiretroviral drugs and how efficient they are, and calling on all of us to get tested. Check your status, because AIDS, or HIV rather, is no longer a death sentence. And so there is no point being too afraid to go and check because you are afraid you might die. Now, if you check and you are HIV positive, you can get antiretroviral drugs, which will be able to keep you safe and living a very comfortable, normal life, as long as you're taking your antiretroviral drugs, to the point where you can be undetected and be able to comfortably marry and have children who are not HIV positive. Unfortunately, according to some statistics from the Ghana AIDS Commission, Ghana has recorded 15,290 new HIV infections in 2024 alone, with only 60% knowing their status. Again, 1 in 4 people in Ghana living with HIV are not receiving safe treatment. They are not receiving saving treatment. So they are not receiving antiretroviral drugs at all. And these numbers are very alarming. And on this day, World AIDS Day, we encourage all of us to get tested. If you are positive, you can get treatments which will actually help save your life. 13,000 people in Ghana die of AIDS every year. 13,000.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and the fact that 50 people also get infected every day, and these people are found within the ages of 15 and 49. You would normally say these are active working people who are perhaps, now getting their lives in shape, and they are getting HIV/AIDS. So. And
the message of safe sex is not as loud as it used to be when we were younger.
Yeah.
There was a full campaign. There was a full campaign on the ABCs, abstinence, be faithful, condom use. But in a generation now where, we are even told that condoms are not as popular as they used to be. People aren't using condoms. Ghana AIDS Commission is set to roll out a condom dispensing machine or condom dispensing machines, advantage points to encourage condom use. But there was a time, I don't know whether it was PPAG, that they gave out free condoms at Chibom joints. So if you went to buy bread and egg, there was a condom container, and they gave out condoms. I also know that this is a KISS.
KISS condoms?
Those who produce Lydia contraceptives.
Okay.
What are they called? Yeah. They were also dispensing free condoms at these concerts and events where we have a lot of young people attending. So condom use is not as popular, and as much as possible, I mean, the children are having sex anyway.
I think we should find out why they are not popular. Perhaps the only thing that comes to mind is the stereotyping around you're going to buy a condom and people are kind of looking at you some way, thinking that you're going to be involved in promiscuous sexual activities and all of that. But I remember the first time I got a bunch of condoms was when I had a program at the UN8. And after the program, they just gave all of us who attended condoms, both female and male condoms, so that you could share or whatever you wanted to do with it. But again, I appreciate that story of when we're growing up and the ABC story, abstinence. And recently, when we heard that the Ghana AIDS Commission was putting dispensers at various vantage points, I was having a conversation with somebody and said, those times they used to preach abstinence. And she said, don't even bother about that, because even if you preach it, people will not follow it. So the best thing is to encourage people to ensure that they are practicing safe sex and they are also using contraceptives or condoms as much as possible.
So I guess the first step is to test. And I think we should find out this morning. And we'll be joined by the health minister, by the way. We'll be joined by the health minister to have a conversation on this. But first, when was the last time you got tested? Or have you even ever tested for HIV? When was the last time you got tested? That's what we'd like to find out this morning. As the world marks World AIDS Day, we ask you today, when was the last time you got tested? And for those of you who are sexually active, are you practicing safe sex? Are you using condoms? And now that we've heard that the condom use is not as popular, do you mind sharing why, in your opinion, you aren't using condoms? Let us know. It's time for, we're going to go for this morning in a bit. But first, what do we have on big issues today, Roland?
Well, so the conversation is about the release of the West African Certificate Examination for senior high schools. And it's the conversation about the number of students. So averagely, for the core subjects, the pass rate is 57.8%. It's the lowest since 2018. Africa Education Watch has been doing a lot of work on that. And they also say that the highest in recent times still remains 70% in 2023. And since then, we've had a lot of MPP NDC conversations on this subject, which government gave the best pass rate, etc. I've even had my good friend, that's Dr. Yahweh Duchum, also on the campaign trail, saying that it's because teachers' allowances hadn't been paid also. As a result of that, teachers were demotivated. But on the back of it on social media, the conversation has been, is it because the environment was not conducive for teachers and those who were supervisors, invigilators, as we call them at that level, to aid students during the examination period.
Oh, so they could pass.
Or to shore up their grades, so to speak, you know, and so that's the refrain there. So I asked Kofi Asare. Kofi Asare says we need to wait for the WAEC official report, but more practice had been always a problem over the years, the last couple of years. But it's also had a correlated effect somehow, apart from this year, since 2018, on how well the students were doing. So, for example, we have, is it 1 out of every 9 students or so, or every 1 out of every 4 or 5 students not passing social studies? And social studies basically is about history, civic education.
It's one of the passable courses.
It's supposed to be the least length, but well passed.
So 1 out of every 4 candidates got F9.
Okay.
In social studies.
1 out of every 4.
1 out of every 4 got F9.
So we have a statistic like that.
And it's the worst of all the core subjects. Then more than half of the candidates, that's 220,008, failed core mathematics, making it the worst performance in 7 years. And English language has the highest rate in 2025, with 7 out of 10 candidates scoring A1 and C6.
You know, when I saw the numbers yesterday, my main concern was what Roland said, that we're going to play politics with it. That's you see NDC and MPP say, okay, in my time this is what happened, and in your time this is what is happening. And I'm hoping that we'll move beyond that and really deal with the root cause of this problem, because I was kind of shocked that I saw that. Maths, yes, the country has had a lot of issues with maths, but social studies, like Roland said, that's quite disturbing.
Well, we're going to go into a joint big issues, but on this morning segment, we're going to be speaking about HIV and AIDS. Today is World AIDS Day. And while we talk about low testing, people who have been infected with the virus not receiving saving treatment, and the practice of safe sex in the country, we're joined this morning by the Health Minister to discuss this and more. Stay tuned for this exclusive. It's time for This Morning on TV3 Newday.
And you're here on the This Morning segment on New Day on TV3. Yes, so we're asking you about HIV and AIDS. I think we do have our first caller on the line. Good morning to you, Collins. Tell us where you're calling us from, what's on your mind.
Good morning.
Good morning, Collins.
Yes. Let me greet your children now, Roland and Utu. Yes, my name is Collins, calling from Amabole in the Ganoff Municipal. Let me take the opportunity to speak to Mr. Akosi Mensah, Deputy CEO of the Mabin Shipyard, very high-net man in Ashmo, and this is the Look, I'm wondering why people don't want to go to hospitals and clinics to check their status. Me, for instance, I can assure you on this platform that within this year, I went to Achimota Hospital. Though I go there to check some my personal, not on this HIV people, but to check my personal. And after that, I decided to get enter there and they start questioning me about saying, why? Am I serious? Even if they check me and I have the virus, if they want, no, not at all. Or somebody is pushing me, or I say, madam, I'm just do it and see whether I have or not. And I sit down and they check it. About 5 to 10 minutes, the nurse came and start applauding me, clapping that, hey, you qualified. And I said, he said, okay, for now, he wants to give me about, he says, a lot of condom to protect myself. I said, oh, fine, if so, hey, I'll immediately I reached out. I don't know where it is today. So my final conclusion is the nurses know people who have the virus.
Oh.
So, yes, the nurses and the doctors, majority of them, and they have been saying data crap about something habit. It's too easy about count. So they can't mention the name. Eh? Because I do go there. What about the rest? You understand? Eh? Or the Senegal?
Collins, I'm not sure whether the data, you have any evidence to back this claim you're making that you have medical officers who have the virus. But yes, thank you very much for calling us.
He says that he suspects that the medical officers know who has the virus.
Okay.
But I think it is true based on personal encounters.
Okay.
For example, if you, let's say you do annual tests, so as part of your annual test, you make it a point that I want to voluntarily go and get tested. They seem to create a certain image. Okay. That because you're testing, you engage in some level of promiscuous activity within the period, and that's why you want to test and get to know. But whilst at the same time, the public health officers or the big offices, let's say with the Ghana Health Service, etc., are saying that do voluntary testing.
Yeah,
and I've encountered that several times. So sometimes you have some of those misconceptions that the public has, and at the same time, the position and then the interaction or communication coming from health officers also creating that impression psychologically.
Yeah.
I think in this whole conversation, the concern about how young people within the productive ages are trading sex for economic convenience should be a concern for all of us, where they don't pay heed or disregard the cautions that should be associated with having sex indiscriminately. I won't say promiscuously, but indiscriminately. Yeah. Because you can have the iPhone, but make sure that you stand your ground for you to be protected while having that sexual interaction.
Well, let's go back to the phone lines. We have another caller joining us. Hello?
Hello, Beatrice.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Beatrice, how are you? Well done.
Alaji, that's about.
Nah, Roland, take it.
Nah, Tabia Wula.
No, take it. Gombian.
Alaji, welcome to the show.
Nah, I hope everything is well.
Everything is fine.
Now, where's my wife?
Who is your wife? Hey, be careful. Have you married any woman on the set that we don't know about?
No. Cookie tea, why is she?
Oh, Cookie tea is on leave. Cookie tea is on leave.
Okay, just send my greetings to her. And Shamima Muslim and Chairman Opoto Ampopo and Chief of Staff Deborah and Dr. Abukar will be. When you look at that, Roland, we have program in Savlugu. Savlugu NADMO office did not have a vehicle. Savlugu municipal NADMO office did not have a vehicle. So I don't know why this didn't happen for.
Alaji, we'll take that up. But can you speak to our issue this morning? We're talking about
I
HIV and AIDS. When was the last time you got tested?
I don't think he heard the question.
When you look at the health sector, I think a lot of people is complaining about the health sector. Why people is complaining? Because some of the nurses and they neglect the people there. So if you just go, just focus on your work. Don't do anything and people will come out and talk about your work. So I don't know how they teach them in the schools. If you say you want something and people will give you a chance to work, how can you be there to misbehave? So, Health Minister, I think he should look about this thing and we solve this kind of problem in our health sector don't let people complain about your sector. I think that cannot help us. Thank you.
Answering the question.
I don't know if Alaji really understood our topic this morning, but we always appreciate your call, Alaji. Thank you for calling us. Now, when you call us, we want to find out when the last time you tested was.
I don't think
are you testing? You know, is the question we're asking.
He heard it.
Do you know your HIV status? When was the last time you got tested? And if you are HIV positive, are you able to access the antiretroviral drugs which are available? The reports from the Ghana AIDS Commission suggests that 1 out of 4 who have HIV, who are HIV positive, are not accessing life-saving treatment. Now, we know that if you take the medicine, it's actually possible for you to become undetected. So you get to a point where your viral load is so low that even if you had sex,
a sexual encounter
with another person who was negative, they will not get the virus. And you can have a child. You can actually give birth to a child who is negative. Of course, there are some precautions to be taken, some medications to be taken, and so on. But there was a time when testing positive for HIV was a death sentence.
Yeah.
We are no longer in that era. And so if you are positive, you should be able to take steps to save your own life, to be able to live a full life, to live till whatever age, if you take your antiretroviral drugs. But there are still a lot of people who are not accessing these antiretroviral drugs for many reasons, including stigma. You would think we are at a point where there is no longer stigma, but there still is.
And that's why I was good, because recently, you remember we brought us a story, a report about a woman who was complaining
by
that...
Sarah.
Yes, Sarah Penko, yes. That she went to the hospital and the nurses decided to abandon her because they thought they were going to contract HIV from her, and that was a very traumatic experience for her. But yes, whilst we wait and to bring you that conversation with the Health Minister, Kwabena Kando, remember that hunger can strike anytime, but Royal King Cracker is always on standby. When you need something enjoyable to munch on, Royal King Cracker brings the crunch and the battery taste. It fits right into your day, morning, noon, or night. Royal King Cracker, choke your hunger. Just grab one and enjoy. This advert is FDA approved.
All right, and step into a night of elegance with music, fine dining, and more at the Mervyn-Pick Classical Music Night, happening on the 27th. All right, it happens at the Mervyn-Pick Hotel at the end of every month, and we call you to come enjoy enchanting evenings, live performances by Guy Bertrand and more. All right, so come to the Mervyn-Pick Ambassador Hotel and enjoy the very best. We have another caller joining us. Hello? All right, looks like we lost you there. Are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Oliver, calling from Ashaman.
Oliver, welcome to the show. Oliver, do you know your status?
Yes, please.
All right, when was the last time you got tested?
I got tested, let me say, a year now.
1 year?
Yes, please.
Okay. How often do you get tested?
Let me say, at least once, almost every year. For about 3 years now.
That's great. All right. Tell us what you'd like to share.
Anyway, I'm not a fan of politics anyway. But our health sectors, I just heard that you said the minister is coming to the state.
Yes.
Please, if you can, please tell him that our health sectors are not what they are always telling us on the set place. Because when you get to the floor, things that are going on is a whole lot.
All right. The minister will join us in a moment, and you can join us again with your comments, okay?
Thank you very much.
So you just stand by with us, and we'll bring you that in a moment.
Yes, and I was telling you earlier about that story my colleague Sarah Pinko brought about the stigma associated with contracting HIV and AIDS. Let's watch this.
Rhoda's life changed forever when she received the devastating diagnosis. The stigma, fear, and uncertainty about what lay ahead were overwhelming.
When I went to that facility, the nurse who saw my reports went to my school to tell a colleague teacher to be careful about me and that I am HIV positive. So when I come back to the school, they shouldn't get closer to me. They shouldn't allow the students to get close to me. But this lady, I always appreciate her a lot. She's called Madam Grace. The lady kept this to herself. And because of even what the guy told her, she decided to be more close to me. It was just recent, last year, that she disclosed this to me.
The fear of being ostracized by her loved ones kept her silent. But she found love, and together with her husband, they welcomed children who are not carriers of the virus.
I remember when I got married and I got pregnant with my first child, I went to a certain facility to seek for my ANC, and the very first day I got to the facility, 2 nurses were there having a discussion. And the discussion was around a person who just came there and tested positive to HIV. And they were discussing the person such that I was able to identify whom they were talking about, because one was directing the friend to where the person stays and another thing. And since we were in the same community, I was able to trace to see the person they were talking about. So I was like, wow, I'm also positive. So what will be my stand after they get to know of my status as well? Meaning they are going to discuss me and who will be the next person to hear about my story. So I left the facility. I decided not to come to the antenatal at all. But on the day of my delivery, I gave them my prophylaxis to be given to my child because I was due for delivery, and then I knew they have to give the prophylaxis to the child. Immediately, the baby comes out. The moment I gave this to the woman, her attitude towards me changed. She now became cold. She wasn't responding to me. So when I started having the contractions and was crying for help, she wasn't coming to me. But lo and behold, there were some student nurses at the facility, and one of them was coming to me. The woman, when I was even, the baby's head was coming out. I felt it, I held it, and so that the head was coming out. I shouted to them that the baby is coming. She said I should shut up and be there. Which baby is coming? HIV nipa so. Obatete ye hase. You be di wachi sa be de say be hwe no ahwe po no bi anya bi mo kwani ho amonhwe yi. And I was scared. I was crying.
Rhoda's story is not unique. Thousands of Ghanaians live with HIV silently, battling stigma and fear. Despite the progress made in Ghana's fight against HIV, stigma remains a significant barrier. Many still view HIV as a moral issue rather than a health condition.
We recognize that one of the biggest barriers to the stigma is even among the health workers who are supposed to provide care to HIV clients. They themselves stigmatize the clients. And so as charity begins at home, we have come up with some training package for healthcare workers. And we have also engaged with other partners like the Nurses and Midwifery Council. And they are now trying to include a course on stigma in their curriculum.
The Ghana AIDS Commission estimates that about 334,000 people are living with HIV in the country. However, only about 151,000 are on treatment, highlighting the need for more support and acceptance. Rhoda has become an advocate for HIV awareness, sharing her story to break the stigma.
I really felt that day that we really need to talk. We really need our voices to be heard, because we can easily die just because of how people perceive persons living with HIV.
And in line with that, we told you that we'll have the health minister right here in the studio, but it's all because we have the International Conference on HIV/AIDS and Sexually Transmitted Diseases in Africa, the biggest one, and bringing together policymakers, those who are in the value chain, as well as all those involved in public health in Africa in relation to the subject right here in Accra. They're convening right here. It is the 23rd edition, and I have the distinguished personalities right here, led by our Health Minister, Kwabena Minta Kando, the Honorable. Good morning to you, Honorable Minta Kando. And then also right here, let me put that into perspective, the president for the Society for AIDS in Africa, SAA, and also a former health minister for Zimbabwe, Dr. David Parinye Nyatwa. Did I pronounce the name well? Yes, I tried.
Yes, you did.
Okay, okay. And then, of course, Dr. Prosper Kambon, the acting director general for the Ghana AIDS Commission, also right here. But let me start with you, the Honorable Minta Kando. You take a look at the essence of this conference and then Ghana hosting it. Essentially, why is that critical?
Well, as you have already indicated, this is one of the biggest conferences in the health sector across Africa. And it's about the 23rd edition. And for me, it is not just by coincidence that it's being held in Ghana at this critical moment, because one, the country has demonstrated leadership in the health sector, and so it is timely, especially so at this point when a lot of donors are cutting their aid left, right, center. It's about time we all come together as Africans to take our own destiny into our own hands. You remember the health sovereignty we held the last time, and this dovetails perfectly into it. So we are coming to meet around the table, think about how we can raise or mobilize domestic funding. In Ghana, you recall that immediately there was reduction or the withdrawal of the USAID. There was a big gap in the funding of aid, and His Excellency the President gave a directive to go for the funds and fill the gap. So we are demonstrating leadership. So I believe that when we all come together, we can learn from each other innovations, how we can all unite against the disease.
And I followed a story through, especially in some of the most endemic areas of Africa where we have the disease very high, especially in the southern regions of our continent, where, of course, people were having difficulties because the pulling out of USAID, particularly in the treatment, the provision of the antiretrovirals, etc. for you. Do you think as African government we have the policy rights in trying to provide the needed effort, whether it's education, the drugs for itself, and the funding towards this?
Yes, it's a very important question at this point in time because, as you are aware, funds have been withdrawn by the Trump administration specifically, and other countries have followed in the Western world to reduce funding towards African fight against HIV and AIDS, TB and malaria. So what we have done and what we are trying to do is to mobilize African governments to really look inwards into themselves and see how far they can fill the gap, just like what the minister has said, how to fill this gap that has been left by these donors. We cannot continue to depend on donors anymore. It means we must look at our own resources and fill those gaps. And you're right to say that all through the region, particularly the Southern Africa region, has been the epitome or the epicenter of the virus within the Africa region. So we are pleased that we are getting ICASA to Ghana, and we have been welcomed very, very highly here. And we believe that we are going to have one of the most successful ICASA conferences come next week.
Dr. Kambon, in relation to Africa, how do the numbers look like? I mean, just giving us an Africa view, a Ghana view, so to speak, by way of the infection rate, and then also the effort by way of policy in relation to other African countries that you do at Ghana AIDS Commission. That could also be very relevant in this conference.
With respect to Ghanaian statistics and the African-wide statistics, when you look at the prevalence in Ghana, we have about 1.49% of population with HIV/AIDS. It is relatively, enough some other African countries, very low. But when you look at the dynamics of the patients and the treatment profile, where we should be testing up to 95% of people living with HIV/AIDS, and where we should be getting up to 95% of people living with HIV/AIDS on treatment, and where 95% of people on treatment should have their viral loads undetected, And I just listened to your program where the lady said, if your viral load is undetected, you are untransmittable. That is where we want to get a lot of people to. Ghana, we are not doing so much well to that. And you just showed the statistics that we have about 334,000 people and only 150,000 on treatment. That is quite low. Now, our problem is, as it is the stigma that is so high in Ghana here. If you see our stigma index, it's very unacceptable. And the stigma affects linkage to treatment or even testing. And you just ask the gentleman how many times he tests in a year. He says once in a year he tests. That's very good. But how many people do that? It's just so low. And that is where our national statistics look like. And when you come from the national statistics to sub-national statistics, there are areas of concentration. And in discussion with the Honorable Minister is very concerned about these areas of concentration, especially areas of high commerciality. And he has tasked me to look into how we can get these areas of high concentration with appropriate services, testing, and linkage to treatment.
And Dr. Pari Nyatwa, the critical cases of the disease prevalence and then access to ARVs in the Africa region, how does it look like, with the exception of Ghana, particularly in Southern Africa?
Well, what has happened is that in a lot of the Southern African countries, even if you start with South Africa, they are going to offer now, as you know, the preventive medicine, which is injectable once every 6 months. That injection is going to be rolled out in South Africa. The same as in Zimbabwe. The same as in many areas in the Southern African region. We are really pushing towards that preventative aspect of HIV, where and we think that we'll be able then to address the very critical populations, the young people, pregnant mothers, the key populations. We should be able to address those with this preventive measure, among other preventive measures. We should not stop things like abstinence, good behavior. We should not stop that. But at the same time, let's add the issue of the injectables as prevention.
Accessibility to be able to the medication. And for ICASA Accra, it will mean that everybody else is coming. Are we going to have the drug producers there as well? Because one of the key policy directives of Ghana have been to be able to have the Vaccine Institute, and so onwardly also move to having generics produced elsewhere in Africa, etc. And this is critical in getting access to the drugs in itself, whether they are ARVs or other forms of prophylaxis, etc., to the patients and those who need them most. How will that conversation be part of ICASA Accra?
Yes, a lot of stakeholders have been invited to be part of this international conference, including the pharmaceutical industry, the drug producers. Everybody is going to be part of this international conference. That has been the routine, you know. So it's a holistic conversation. I mean, right from the production of the medications to care, to how we can fight policies and all that. So, but Roland, before I even proceed from there are some fundamentals that we must begin to get them right. And no matter what government will put in place, if you don't get the citizenry along, there's very little we can do. And so it may not be you and I who be stigmatizing against the patient, but it's your brother, your sister out there. So we must begin to fight, one, against stigmatization. We must also encourage people to test. We've set a very high standard. We started with 1990, and now we are at 95, 95, 90. Whilst we've even not gotten to the 1990. So we are not talking about 95 people knowing their status, 95% of the people being on treatment, and then 95 viral suppression. But as I speak to you now, Ghana, as Dr. Kombo will tell you, we are about 68, 69, 90. What we are doing so well is those on the medication having the suppression. And that is very critical. That is very, very important. If we don't concentrate on that, no matter the policies we put in place and all that, government will continue to do its bit. We are committed. There are some routine commitment, for example, the pictures of the kits, the testing kit, the pictures of antiretroviral medication, pictures of the preventive aspect, condoms. We do this almost every year, especially at this time that the cuts are being reduced. We are still pumping more resources. But if we pump the resources and you don't know your status, especially when you even know your status, you decide to go off the medication, you know. And so, although if you compare Ghana to some of the countries in sub-region, we are not doing badly at all. But we must set our own standard. It is the expectation that we don't even have any HIV positive patient in this country, but that is not possible. And so we must all come together. We must begin to talk about them. We must begin to highlight the sensitization bit. You, the media people, also play a very vital role when it comes to the fight against HIV. So let's all be part of them, because everybody is at risk. Everybody is at risk.
At the center of this, he talks about media, etc., is funding for the education and the stakeholder engagement. It's very important. How does it look like, Dr. in Africa?
Well, what is important there, like you say, when you say education, it's really advocacy, isn't it?
Yeah, advocacy.
Yeah, advocacy. This is what governments should spearhead, to be able to use their national AIDS councils like them to propagate issues on stigma, which is very, very critical. Issues of key populations, again, another very critical area. And again, we, like at ICASA, we emphasize 3 areas. First is science. It must be science-based. Our approaches must be science-based. That's why we'll have a lot of researchers, a lot of professors coming in, so that we solidify the science around HIV. The second issue is we must look at the communities. And like the minister rightly says, if you don't mobilize communities and they are not part of the fight, then you lose out. And the third issue is leadership. And leadership doesn't just mean the political leadership, it means religious leadership, traditional leadership. Any leader at all, a teacher, that leadership is what we're also mobilizing, so that they are able to be part and parcel of the whole response to HIV and AIDS.
All right. I know the minister is here, but how well are you funded?
The Ghana AIDS Commission is, well, the funds have...
I like the way you stamp your How well are you funded?
Well, it's based on the national allocation and not so much funded. But the funding has many perspectives. The government's commitment funding and then the donor part funding. And that's why the minister said, look, we need to take our health sovereignty to ourselves. And if you look at the donor sponsored funding, this comes with programmatic activities, and you are captured within a basket of activity, which you can't come out. The government's funding has a bit of leverage to look at national issues. And for the government issues, we're looking at the prevention aspect. And as the Honorable Minister said, if we then get the prevention aspect and the community involved in that prevention, media, faith-based organizations, and other religious leaders, we can get the prevention message to go through. But when you come to the programmatic funding, the focus is on effective treatment of the patients, effective ARVs, and that's what the Honorable said. Each year, we procure enough HIV medications. Yeah. And because they are effective, 90% of our patients get undetectable levels. That means that as long as we can get many people to get on the treatment, we should be doing well. But the limitations are, as he said, the stigma aspect, as he rightly put it.
All right. And so at the end of the conference, what are your key expectations as a host country in the first place?
Well,
and then the host health minister.
Well, let me also draw attention to the fact that the AIDS Commission also sits right at the presidency. So it's a very big concern to the states. It sits right under the presidency, and we have that kind of collaboration with them as a ministry. And so, as I've already indicated, there are about 3 areas we are seeking to talk about at this conference. Domestic mobilization of resources to fight the disease. Africa to unite against the disease, the AIDS, and then how we can also have an integrated approach to tackling the HIV, AIDS, and innovations we could be learning from each other country to know how best we can fight against HIV, AIDS. So these are some of the expectations going into the conference.
Okay, so if we talk about the 2026 budget, how will the Mahama Cares NCD program also dovetail into the subject matter of health infrastructure, etc.?
I thought you were here because of AIDS. I knew, Roland. Anyway, again, one of the major problems we have on the continent is the non-communicable diseases. It's increasing at a very alarming rate. In Ghana, I think 4 out of every 10 death we have in the country is due to non-communicable disease. That's how serious it is. And therefore, His Excellency the President promised the good people of this country that we must have a solution, think outside the box and have a solution to it. hence the establishment of what you call the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, Mahama Cares. So this fund is dedicated towards the financing of treatment of non-communicable diseases. You know, so the bill was sent to Parliament and it's been approved. The board has been inaugurated. The fund is in full operation. I mean, at the moment, some 17 applicants are being processed. They are targeting about 50 rollout in every region and all that. So what I want to say is that the fund is actually in operation. So about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis have been allocated for the purposes of the Mahama Cares in the year 2026. But that is not the only fund that will be available to them. We'll be looking at other sources as well. So Mahama Cares has come to stay, and we are focusing on the non-communicable.
And in the budget, you only have 200 million for health infrastructure.
That's not correct.
Okay.
That's not correct.
Right.
We have, if you go to CAPEX, we have about 1 billion Ghana cedis. In fact, if you go to, you know, we have 6 regions without regional hospitals. And today, Roland, I'll be accounting to the whole country at the presidency, accountability series. And so I'll be throwing light on all these things. But our CAPEX is more than 1 billion, which is a huge improvement over 2024 and 2025. We have 6 regions without regional hospital for the past 7 years. And we are going to start in the 2026 budget. The provision has been made for 3 regional hospitals. That alone is around 600 million Ghana cedis. So it cannot be correct that only 200 million Ghana cedis has been allocated for infrastructure. That cannot be correct.
All right. And so your last words as we let you go.
Well, we were very excited. ICASA 2025 in Ghana, Accra, starting from the 3rd to the 8th of December. And we were expecting upward of 5,000 people to come to attend, especially communities, scientists, researchers. We believe that this particular ICASA will bring West Africa, because Ghana is quite central. So far, we've had these ICASAs in Durban, in Zimbabwe, in Rwanda, but West Africa, I think this is good for West Africa. Ghana should be focused and be able to attract all these people to come here. So we're very happy, we're really delighted that we're here in Ghana.
Okay. When are they ending?
It's starting from the 3rd to on the 8th of December. And so I'll use this opportunity to welcome all the delegates who have already arrived, especially my president and all others who are also on their way. Ghana is a lovely country, and they should take the opportunity to familiarize themselves with the people in the country, and they will never regret coming to Ghana. I wish that the next one, they will say they are coming back to Ghana.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you all for coming through. Also having the Health Minister, Dr. Parinjuniawa as well, and then also Dr. Kambon for the Ghana East Commission. We wish you a good conferencing period, if that's more appropriate to say.
And Roland, this is the 2nd international conference we are holding in the health sector within the year, and we'll be ending the year with another what we call World Health Expo, what we'll be bringing across the world. We'll be bringing manufacturers, the pharmaceutical industry, policymakers, health ministers, who will also be coming to Ghana as well. So we'll be ending the year with another very big international conference called World Health Expo, immediately after ICASA.
Okay. What time is your accountability series?
It's around 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Yeah. All right. We'll stay tuned, and then we'll be watching out. All right. So that'll be it for now. We have to go for a break. When we come back, we have big issues. We're talking the West African Certificate Examination results released for Ghana, and then the statistics for the performances, what the stakeholders are indicating, and for you parents and viewers out there, what do you make of it? Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, thank you for joining us once again. We hope that ICASA conversation with the health minister as well as the president for SAA, that is the International Conference on HIV/AIDS as well as sexually transmitted diseases, going to take place right here in Ghana from the 3rd to the 8th of December 2025 will help us resolve some of the difficulties that, well, individuals affected with HIV as well as AIDS go through. And let me say good morning to all of you who have joined us. More importantly, look, let's also try to get smart. We have, as we have them, the cash out draws always available, but only if you take part in this. So use the short code *439#, increase the number of tickets, become one of those lucky winners as always. And you can only do so if you choose option 2, increase the number of tickets you have, right? I've loved the way Na Shoko has been looking so beautiful. I saw her gym videos yesterday, and then I went and I said, why Na? Why Na? Na likes gymming too much. And many of you on social media assumed I was in the gym with her. I was not, because she went alone. This one, she's in it alone, all right? Well, let me just introduce our guest for the morning. I have right here Lawyer Jimega. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Lawyer, engineer.
Okay. Engineer, lawyer, or which one first?
Anyone.
Okay. Lawyer, engineer, Jimega. All right.
morning.
Thank you for joining us as
Pleasure.
well. All right. And then, of course, Lawyer Apia Dankwa. Thank you also. Are you also an engineer?
I'm Mr. Apia Dankwa.
Okay. Well, so Lawyer Apia Dankwa is also here. And then Dr. Kweku Boahing is also joining us. Good morning to you. How are you? I'm great. We'll be having a conversation on the newly released the newly released conversation about the result of WASI, that's the West African School Certificate Examination, that's the appropriate name for it. And many of you have been raising issues, parents especially, for those of us who have children who wrote the exams, etc., raising issues, because nationally the pass marks haven't been very good. Averagely, we're told that we've gone to pre-2018 levels, and so it's the worst, the worst over the last 7 years. All right. Or 6 years, so to speak. So I see a couple of you. Prince Dania York is watching us from the UK. Manini Mani, I see Sagacity, V Mama Kokonsa, Agongo Roger, a number of you as well. And then Zilis Dwayne. Zilis Dwayne is a Liverpool fan, so he had a good time over the weekend. As a Chelsea fan, we didn't. And so we'll see how that goes. But we will also be joined by some individuals, especially from the West African Examination Council. John Kapi is the head of public affairs, West Africa Examination Council. But the results really have been telling, and we will want all of you to join in the conversation. It's very important for us. According to the statistics we're having, the average 2025 WASI core subject rates was 57.8%, the lowest since 2018. The highest in recent times still remains 70% back in 2023. And I made a point here that Dr. Yawose Duchum said is because government reduced allowances for, or delayed in the payment of some allowances for teachers, etc. So demotivated them to put in their effort. It's one of the ascribed reasons. And Dr. Yawose Duchum, good morning to you wherever you find yourself. That man is a good man. He's one of, is it 4? Contesting for the presidential primaries alongside Kenny Japo. Five. All right. And then also we have so Kofi Asare put something. Kofi Asare is executive director for Africa Education Watch. He will also be joining us when he has the time, asking the question whether WASI has a direct correlation as a result to more practice, and he tried to put some things out there. So we will interrogate these issues widely. Okay, do we have John Kapi joining us? Not yet. Okay, so when we have John Kapi joining us, that's PRO for the West Africa Examination Council. Out of 461,000 WASI candidates, only 382,000 had results released for integrated science. Well, it's not only. So that if you do the ratio, but rather we have about 120,000 of them, 80,000 of them not having their integrated science results released. All right. So, Lawyer Engineer Jamaica, what do you make of the WASI result? I'm sure it's occupying your mind as well.
Yes.
Do you have any child who wrote the WASI?
No, I don't have
relatives?
Any.
Okay.
Yeah, I have relatives, I have friends who have written.
All right.
Good morning to your viewers, wherever they are.
Morning.
And good morning, of course, to my good people in Hohwe.
Your constituency is Hohwe?
Yes, my constituency is
Where's
Hohwe.
your constituency? Amasaman. Okay.
Yes, and some two ladies celebrating birthday today. Permit me to wish Yabema happy birthday. And
Yabema?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You know her?
No, I know a lot of Yabemes. I know I have at least
Irene
two.
Odai also happy birthday. But this, whilst we are talking about the education sector, let's also be talking about some of the good things that are coming out in other areas. And I would like to talk about the improvements that are to be made in the rubber industry. Before I come to the
Based
education.
on what was mentioned in the budget?
In the budget.
Okay.
That,
are you an investor in the rubber industry?
No, not
or is
yet.
just a general observation?
I'll be, no, the government is making an effort, so not just a general observation. So the purpose is that the domestic exports will be halted so that production will feed domestic industries. We eat what we grow. That will help the rubber industry so that there will be more jobs and there will be less job losses. Prior to coming here, someone sent me a message that if you ever find yourself on TV this week, appeal to the teachers to help everybody without focusing too much on extra classes where not everybody will have the opportunity to attend, so that some people can equally be part of them. But you see, the baseline of all this is the fact that the free SHS and its success has largely been massaged.
I don't understand.
Yes,
you want to descend into MPP and DC politics with the results?
No, I won't descend into it.
Because that's what social media is telling us.
Yes, that it has been massaged. It is true.
No, social media is telling us that the result has now transitioned into MPP and DC. So who did better, who did not do better?
No, I'm not talking about who did better, who did. I'm talking about the fact that to see that the free SHS has been successful, there were arm twisting for good grades to come up. But if you look at it this particular year, WAEC has stepped up its own supervision roles. They sent their own supervisors to each center. And that has also resulted in some of these things that we're talking about. During the exams time, you saw the number of teachers who were arrested for carrying out mobile phones, who were trying to give answers to students, etc. Hitherto, that number wasn't that high. So there had been massaging over the years for some of these things. And today we are seeing the efforts that, the outcome that we are seeing today. Fast forward, we need to be thinking how to fix some of these things.
What are some of the issues that you think that perhaps compromise or created an atmosphere where we had good results within the period precluding this year?
That's what I'm saying, that there was arm twisting. Of
I'm
WAEC.
asking you, what do you mean by arm twisting? Explain that to me.
So that the grades will look good, and someone will hail the fact that we have performed very well with some of these things. Even these exams, we heard of demonstrations in some of the schools that students felt entitled that they were not allowed to copy.
Yeah, they wanted to look into books.
Look into books, because their previous seniors were allowed to do that. And they were not being allowed because things have changed. So some of these things definitely will reflect. And again, I'm happy that you have a representative of WAEC. Unfortunately, I'm not the host. I would have asked some of those questions. Some of these things also call into question their own credibility. When you take these results, the results are not only to be used in Ghana. The results are used outside Ghana as well. And when everybody is reading some of these about the results that you are churning out, then it becomes a problem. So WAEC, even though they appear to be independent, they have not been really, really independent. And we urge WAEC that change your modus operandi. There could be situations where WAEC could move from, let's say if the students of Achimota want to write, they ship all of them to, let's say, Accra Girls. to write there in a different environment. They ship everybody from maybe Accra girls to Kolegon or something, so that there will be that idea of compromising some of the teachers, some of people, the pupils or students who write on their desks, etc., should be taken out. The idea of entitlement that we need to be helped during the exams is also greatly affecting us. So WAEC, step up. Again, who prints the question papers? Who distributes them? And every year we hear of leak. Every year we hear of leak. Why? We have come to a stage where they need to change their way of doing things. So I'm happy that you get a WAEC guy. Perhaps you will allow us also to question him on one or
No, you
two
have your
things.
time, so talk as
Yes,
much as you want.
Yes, we have our time.
Because I
Yes.
asked a question. You said that massaging, etc., and you've not adduced reasons for you to be positing that the results were being massaged. Is it because of the environment?
I've given some.
Okay,
that,
you said open book.
Yes,
okay.
and students who feel entitled that they need to copy. Number two, students teachers who were helping. Then, of course, during the marking of the papers, etc., I believe, and as I said, some of these things laid credence to some of the things that are happening, that they were compromised to give certain marks so that it will look good. Look at the period you were talking about that there have been improvement. Look at the period, and post that, things are falling. Does it mean that within these 8 months that someone else is in charge, all of a sudden things are falling while the students have already prepared? So I want to appeal to WAEC that your credibility is also very important. Whatever you wish the world to know about WAEC, that when you take the results outside Ghana, UK, France, USA, Canada, and they trust that this result is good, it all boils down to WAEC. And it's up to WAEC to do that work for us. But then I feel that we should move on from the questioning, the apportioning blame to how do we improve some of these things. Yes, of course, there are certain schools that lack teachers. And there are certain schools that have very good teachers. Maybe some of the prof here will help us. We could have a situation where we select students from some of these needy schools to attend classes with some of these well-endowed lectures and record it. So that will be sent back to every school that when you have, let's say, a chemistry class and you don't have a chemistry lecture, there's something on the board, you sit down, you go through the lecture. Some students in the class who had attended had asked questions. Perhaps some of those questions were the same questions you'll be asking, and that will help you. Now we are told they have tablets. Those could equally be uploaded on their tablets, and with a bit of discipline, you sit down and you read some of them and watch the lectures as they are being unfolded. Number two, I feel that sometimes the teachers themselves need to upgrade some of their skills. Very few people in this part of the world know that in other countries that were taught in geography, when they are talking about longer day, shorter night, sometimes the sun sets at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. People don't know. We are only taught that shorter day, longer night. And some people are not aware that in certain areas, the sun sets at about 11 p.m. But the one we were taught from class 1, and they are still teaching it up to today. So a bit of upgrade also for the teachers. Finally, we need to make teaching profession also very interesting.
You mean more attractive?
Attractive, yes. Attractive. And that is why I'm happy that His Excellency the President, when he made the statement that recruitment into the teaching profession will be done locally, I believe such a policy is very good. For example, if you are going to Huawei advertises that they have only one vacancy for teacher, and you look at it, across board, every teacher earns 1,000 a month. Huawei Municipal Assembly says that they will add 1 olonka of rice, 1 olonka of maize, and you look at it and you are like, no, I want to go for that one. Sabzugu Tatali says that they are adding a pound of beef and adding this, and you look at it and you're like, hallelujah, I'm going in there. Then you don't move from Sabzugu tomorrow and say, I'm going to Dade Kotopon. You only move to Dade Kotopon when there is vacancy and you apply. You don't get a release, go there, get a release. Some of these things also need. So in the short term, I think that things are not really bad. The students also have responsibility. The teachers have responsibility, and WAEC must sit up. Otherwise, we are going to have some of these things going forward. And that entitlement, I plead with parents, let your students know that they need to learn.
Okay. Lapia Dankwa, there was some period in time, I mean, they say that irrespective of the passes you have, you can go to some schools. So we have some of the best schools where the arguments have been made that there are those who had some of the lowest of the grades, but they're still there, poorest of the grades. So I'm asking a question about the correlation of the quality of the students we're producing at the basic level. That should feed senior high school, even though now, looking at the new curriculum, all of them, they say they are basic up to GSS or second hand. So is it not a conversation we should have? Because I remember back in the day, if you have somebody at basic level, I mean, they're as good as anything, you know, averagely. We're talking averages.
Okay, so let me wish your lovely viewers a good morning. Wish my colleagues here, professor and engineer lawyer, a good morning. Yourself a good morning.
Is he engineer lawyer?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have
Dr. Tutubuahin, welcome. I haven't said good morning to you.
Papa Ro.
Yeah.
Good morning.
What's up?
Good morning to everyone.
Okay. We're in your field today, education and the results.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So I think what I have here is the percentages over the past 4 years. And I think if there's something that is clear, that in some of the courses, especially mathematics and science, there's a sharp drop-off. Now, this sharp drop-off has happened in the period of 4 years, so I can confidently say that significantly in terms of the teachers, the quality of the teachers, nothing drastic has changed. Essentially, it will likely be the same teachers who have taught our children over the past 4 years. And so even though WAEC is yet to come out with the reasons for the sharp decline in performance, I think if there's one thing that we can be certain about is the circumstances really hasn't changed much within the past 4 years. Also, I think my learned friend here was talking about some massaging of the performance. Is the performance or the circumstances of the performance?
Both.
Yeah. I think I agree to him to the extent that, and I think if I'm mistaken here, because the factual issue I ought to be corrected. Did they distribute passports during the last?
Well, they have this Pasco, the 64 million one.
Was buying Pascos for the students.
Yes.
Spent 64 million of our money to buy Pasco.
Yeah. What's that got to do? So it led to...
Last year, did they buy Pasco for them? I don't know.
But the Pascos are supposed to be reused.
No. So they
it's
give
the
them...
Same, it's the copies that the schools have. So when year one uses it, when the first batch uses it, you send it to the next batch.
Do you know for a fact that's what happens? Because we know that government was spending our monies buying past questions for the students. What I'm asking you, Roland, is it a case that this year no past school was purchased for the students? Roland, please help me. Well, see, what essentially I'm saying is that the results, as in what we have here, what they released was a comparative analysis of the results from 2022. So you realize that for mathematics in 2022, the pass rate was 61.39. Then it increased to 62.23. Then went up to 66.86 and dropped massively to 48.73. Roland. Now, a massive drop-off. You take integrated science, 62.45, 66.82, then drop to 58.77, and then 57.74. What's even more alarming was the social studies. Social studies dropped from 71.51, 76.76, 71.53 to 55.82. Now, you know, what I'm essentially saying that over past the extent of the last 4 years, there can't be any significant changes in terms of the quality of the teaching. Well, there's no evidence, and that there was a significant change in the quality of the teachers. Because that will be, it's likely to be the same teachers that taught these students. So now we ought to find out what significant change. And on top of my head, because for me, I'm waiting for WAEC to give us or for the Ghana Education Service to give us a report on why this massive drop-off. I'm saying that we were told that over the past 4 or so years, government spends money to buy per school for the students. Now, I don't know whether it was done this year. Because if it was not done this year, that probably could be one of the reasons why it was, they were buying per schools for the students. I think you also made a certain point about what's called a drop-off in the quality of the students from the basic. Because they're saying that's
perceived,
yes. Because right now, what you're saying is that all of them enter. All of them enter.
Yes.
And when did that start?
It's a free. It's a whole shipment.
Is it the first year that this has happened? That
No, that's yes. So now you don't repeat students. So if the student has been assessed by the teacher to be bad in class, which is the rights, and then the competence of the professional teacher, you cannot repeat a student, for example.
Since when did they start?
Oh, it's been on for a number of years now, especially when we had, because government pays bursaries for them through TSS.
So certainly that.
So if you are repeating a student, it means that person gets to repeat and
so
be on government bursary.
I don't think that can be the reason for the massive drop-off.
No, not necessarily.
Because in our time, they were repeating, and on top of my head, I know that these results were better than
your time.
Than in '97 when I wrote what's called SSC, and in those days, students were repeated. You understand? So that can be the reason. So the only reason that I'm seeing is probably the failure or the refusal to buy per school, which for me is the right thing. We shouldn't be buying per school. Government shouldn't be using our money to buy per school for students. You get a picture. Government shouldn't be using our money to buy per school. Rather, what we should do is to probably interrogate the learning methods and all. Probably the year group in general was weak, because it happens sometimes. Garbage in, garbage out. Sometimes you can have a year group, even the so-called top schools. You can get some year group that's really strong.
Sankwa's year group.
I'm not giving them any name. What I'm saying is,
But that's a whole generation, eh?
Yeah, because the drop-off is massive. As in from 60-something% to 48%, is a massive drop-off. You understand? Or is it a case that the PASCO was peppering over an innate failure or weakness in the system, but the PASCO was peppering over the so-called weaknesses?
You're only being diplomatic.
Let me be diplomatic. Please, allow me to be diplomatic. I'm being diplomatic because I don't have a report from the genius telling me why or telling us other people why. So I don't want to be speculating. And that's why I want to limit myself at least to the comparative analysis here. And it's clear that over a span of 4 years, so nobody can tell me that the standard of the teaching dropped. Because it will likely be the same teachers who are teaching the kids. Two, the issue cannot be because there's a wholesale entrance into the SS system. You understand? Because it didn't start. If this year was the first time, or this batch was the first batch of students who were allowed into the senior secondary schools wholesale, then that could have been a reason. I'm saying that in my year, I know it's a very long time ago, but in those days, they were repeating people, weak students, and yet I can on top of my head tell you that the 48 or so % they had in maths was better than our time. You understand? Now, all I'm saying is it the case that the radical spike in performance also was as a result of probably the PASCO and what my little friend here was alluding to? You get a picture. There are things that we need to interrogate. But for me, I think the bigger question is, over the years, we have an educational system that has radically failed to produce human capital that can transform our country. You understand? We have an education system that is geared towards helping us to pass exams.
And regurgitate.
Yeah.
True and poor.
Yeah, that's the education system. Because you see, when you consider that the founder of Facebook dropped out from uni So
not any uni. Which uni?
Harvard.
But to qualify to Harvard is not easy.
No, but you see, a lot of
you must be sharp.
How many Harvard has been producing students since centuries? How many Harvard students have done what is done? The point is, their high school system, you understand, was so good that, as in, he did not need to graduate from the university to create, as in, to tap into his sense of imagination to create Facebook. And it's not just him. Bill Gates was another dropout. Okay. You understand? The point is, in other jurisdictions, you have people who, after leaving high school, their brains have been liberated to the extent, their sense of imagination has been liberated to the extent that they've managed to create systems or create things that have not just transformed their countries, but have transformed the world, have transformed history. Understand? And it tells you these are evidence of the strength of their high school, their secondary school systems. We create Babankwa. In fact, you know, I did science in secondary school. And
you were a science student?
I'm a science student. I did science on the way to the
so
university. He's not the only person who is a science person. I'm also a science person.
Yeah.
I'm also a science person. At this, so I told you I'm a professional forester. I hold a BSc in Renewable Natural Resource Management. Done chemistry, biology. I did my national service, I recall, at Obuasi. You know that Rutherford's machine? When you do science first year, Rutherford's machine, you see, we can draw it and label label everything. So when I went there, then there was this technical guy. He went to poly, he didn't go to university like I did. He said, oh, can I identify anything here that I have seen before? And I was all over the place. And the guy started laughing. He said, do I record that in GAST, Rutherford?
GAST.
He showed me the
Ghana Association of Science Teachers.
He showed me, and I was, and he laughed aloud because he said every year when he gets the national service, he asks them the same question, and every year nobody is able to identify it. Why, Baba? So you see, for me, people in other jurisdictions, people have dropped out from the uni and have still created things that have transformed the world. We need to really look at our education system, create an education system that causes our people to be thinkers. You understand? That employs more critical thinking, and a justice system that will unleash the imaginative abilities of the people of this country. As against creating an educational system that is just towards passing examination. I think that was the motivation behind spending our fiscal policy to be buying passports when clearly they were not enough jobs. Okay. So I don't want us to be speculative here. Let's take our time. Let's wait for GES to come out with reasons for this massive drop-off, and then it can then be the basis for us to have a critical relook at our whole entire educational structure.
All right.
So that we can change this structure from one that becomes more transformative than this babadicious system.
All right. Sometimes these words you never know until you become a parent, and then you know that, Charlie, these things ideally should have been the case. But I have John Kapi. John Kapi is the PR boss for the West African Examination Council. Mr. Kapi, have you joined us?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay. Generally, give me an overview. What you put in your release, make it concise for me. And then for West Africa Examination Council, what's the comparative statistical analysis you can give compared to performance? And then relatively a drop. Because that's the thrust of the conversation in the public space.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners. So yes, we have put out the results of the candidates for the WAST 2025. We've indicated clearly in one of the statistics we put out that this is the performance of candidates in the published results, the course subjects. So if you look at the latter part of our statement, we still have some subject results of candidates from about 185 schools that we are scrutinizing and investigating, so that if they are not found culpable, these figures may change. The performance in some of the subjects could go up based on what the outcome of the investigations would be. So I would say that for now, we shouldn't be too quick to conclude that this year has not been a very good year. All the other stories that are going around on social media, but generally, this is the performance of the candidates as examiners.
So which subjects did they perform worse or badly or comparatively not too good?
Well, if you look at the statistics that we have, I think that so far for the published results, the lowest performance will be in core mathematics. The best performance for this particular year has been English language.
You said the best performance has been what?
English language.
All right. What happened to the science and social studies? I mean, what's the statistics like?
Well, if you look at social studies, obviously there's been a steep drop in terms of performance by candidates. We are still putting together the chief examiner's report. I called for release, but it's not got to me yet. And in a casual conversation with my people in charge of social studies, I gathered that there was a little twist, if you want, of the question. Instead of the rote learning that we are used to, he asked them to apply the knowledge that they had, the various subjects. So, I mean, in that particular subject, the various topics. So it's not as if they drifted off the syllabus, neither did they put aside the test blueprint. And then looking at the questions and asking them to apply the knowledge, that is probably where he thinks the problem is coming from. A lot of them, he believes, were unable to apply their knowledge. So, and that explains the poor performance, especially in social studies.
Okay, so it's like those in tertiary institutions or maybe postgraduate education, they say explain as well as state. And then so explain and state. Like, for example, you mean they misconstrued the clear intentions of the words in the question. Is that it in social studies?
Well, I wouldn't say I've seen the questions myself, so it would be difficult for me to specifically, the way the questions were cast. But then he wanted them to apply whatever knowledge that they had. If I had the question papers here, I probably would have been able to make a little more meaning than I'm saying right now.
Okay. So for the West African Examination Council, I know you're just the body, so I mean, whatever you say is without meaning, you mean well. For Ghana to do well, and particularly for this related result countrywide, what are your concerns so far?
Well, basically, our concerns are, one, that we still have a situation where, let me talk about irregularities first, where the candidates are bringing in foreign material. So it probably looks as if some of the candidates are not adequately prepared, or they have this psychological feeling that they would need to get some assistance from somewhere in order to be able to make it. And then when it comes to, I wouldn't be able to talk much about teaching because I'm not with them in the classrooms, but a little more effort in terms of preparing the candidates adequately for these examinations would help. And then generally, as an examining body, if you look at the statistics, we certainly would not be happy with it, because if you set an examination and everybody passes, that raises eyebrows. If everybody fails, raises eyebrows. But there should be a kind of balance, so that, because don't all have the same ability levels. If you look at the performance this year and look at the poor performance in some of the subjects, tells you that probably something may have gone wrong in terms of preparing the candidates adequately for the examination.
Kwesi sent me a message, so I'm asking this question. He says, if someone is graded F9, what exam paper marks does that represent? For example, does it mean the person got 20 over 100 I think that's what he wants to say. Because I've seen C6, C4, for example. Sorry, at my time, if you have C, you have C. You have D, you have D. So, and then does it also mean all these candidates got these specific exam score? There's a system of grading. So take us through the grading system. I see A, and then I see some you see A, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe, is that D7 or something like that? So take us through.
So if you look at the grading system right now, we have A1, you have B2 and B3. You have C4, C5, and C6, E7 and E8, and then F9. Now, the marks would vary depending on a comparative study of the performance over a 3-year period. That is what the criterion reference grading system would allow you to do, unlike what we do for the BEC, where you put them one cohort, you rank them from the top to the bottom. So it is this 3-year, and then they have grade points that they fix. So based on these grade points, for example, in a particular year, an F9 could be a grade 30 or 35, that kind of thing. They are not fixed grades that we apply. They change with the general performance per year and in comparison with, 2 earlier years of the same cohort who wrote the examination.
Okay, so this year is in the cohort, you compare them with which one, last year or next year?
So last year and the year before, there's always a 3-year comparison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a comment here, and this one was screenshot from our Facebook page, and it's coming from a teacher. And I believe that I'm thinking that our viewers are always loyal, and so they'll give us their real names. This one, we don't have some of those aliases. So this George Parkwesi Dodu says, I'm a teacher, and 90% of the bitter truth is that the teachers were prevented from writing the exams for the students. He continues, we have been getting APO, in quotes, and answering questions for them to gain good grades. But how the minister, Harun Idrisu, warned us, we were then afraid, so we didn't try at all. So the few teachers who tried are now those who are facing prosecution. Interpret this for me. I know that for you, you say that there's no APO, because you are the examination body, so you never agree. Even from my time, when the exams was carried in cars or trucks, still, you never agree. But this time, yeah.
Oh, no, let me put it this way. We would not say, if, for example, there's a leakage, there's no way you can deny that there was a leakage, right? Now, you see, there are differences in the way people would look at this. And if I would explain, if, for example, the questions out an hour before they are due to leave our examination depot, then certainly we take the blame. And I think on a few occasions that this has happened, we have come out clearly to indicate that, yes, this is coming from us. That's how come we've asked candidates to resit. Now, what this teacher is alluding to is the fact that, when they release the questions, the people would take a snapshot of it and then post on social media. So just as the examination begins, they would have circulated them so many social media platforms. So people pick these up, then quickly work out the responses and take it back. So all the candidates do is to copy from whatever the teachers have brought out to them. So it is not about leakage. It's about, so you notice that for some of the teachers who were picked up, because they had taken snapshots of the questions, sent and posted on social media. Now, from what the teacher is saying, it's obvious that that has been their modus. And so this time around, with a warning from the minister, they would deal, ruthlessly with any teacher who engages in examination malpractice. They probably got scared, and so they stayed away. We also deployed a whole lot of monitors, our own staff and other people, including GS person. The Director General himself went around the so just to ensure that the candidates were doing independent work. So if this is his observation, I think that I tend to go with him. It's not about the candidates getting the questions. I had maybe a day or two before the examination. That when they circulate them and they're able to work out quickly, they bring it to them in the examination hall. There are times where we pick them, people up writing even on the board for the candidates to copy. Yeah.
That is previous years, right?
Previous years, exactly. Yeah.
So they even write, they watch the windows, so be anyhow, and then they write the answer. Is that not, that's what you observed as the examination
that's
body?
observation. They have people at, they've established watch out posts where they're able to identify any strange person who is coming in there, and quickly they send a signal. There were times that you appear from behind everybody, and then they are quickly trying to rub off whatever they have on the board and that kind of thing. So we've observed a lot of these things. So the teacher has indicated could be exactly true.
So this time you were stricter than before. Is it because you had the collaboration from Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service to do that, to clamp down or improve on the enforcement and the monitoring?
Certainly, because, you know, as WAEC staff, the entire staff of Ghana in Accra and all the regions, we cannot take care of even one region for the examinations. Certainly, we need other people to come on board. And then this year also, I think that there are a few citizens, a few whistleblowers as well. That helped us a lot because I received several calls from people about to teach. When we sent our personnel, they actually, whatever was exactly what we found out. So that explains the number of areas where we're able to curb the high rate of examination malpractice, and then also the reason we have a lot of scripts that we are still scrutinizing. At times you arrive there and they're already done, but then there are traces of assistance they receive from outside. So because of that, we are withholding, and then we are scrutinizing to ensure that we are not awarding grades to people who do not deserve them.
All right. Dr. John Kapi, please be with us. We're closing at 8:45, so thank you for your patience. I have Kofi Asare. Kofi Asare is Executive Director, Africa Education Watch, foremost education think tank, I have to say, now by reputation in Ghana. They tend to watch everything. So, Kofi Asare, there's a teacher who sent a message that the education ministers warning publicly seem to have put so-called fear in the minds of the teachers. So they didn't aid or try to assist their own students. Or even if they were invigilating in other schools, they didn't try to help each other. How was that instrumental in perhaps us getting this result for the students? Kofi Asare.
Well, thank you, Roland, and morning to your audience and panelists. Scientifically, that cannot be proven. Okay, but we are having a conversation around preliminary, results release, and we are all trying to find out what could be or what would possibly have been the drivers of the results we are seeing, especially in math and social studies. So yes, these are, if you like, these are more or less guesstimates, right? We are just guessing based on our understanding of the system. Okay, but what I can say is that when you see results of, when you see such a dip in maths and social studies, the first thing that comes into mind is that you need to wait for the chief examiner's report, study it, and look at the trend. Look at answering trends. Look at the stress level. Look at where students struggle to appreciate questions and answering properly. And then, based on that, you develop interventions to strengthen in those areas of gaps. Support the schools, deploy the usual interventions that are done, and motivate the teachers so that they're able to take them through and make sure that there's better preparation towards the next exam. That's one. Secondly, there are exogenous factors, again, that you always predict to have an impact on performance. And one that we cannot discount is the strengthened invigilation we saw this year. Our research in monitoring WASI from 150 schools, private and public, using both invigilators and teachers. We call them our monitors. These are monitors we've been working with since 2019. Revealed that 61% of the monitors ranked the quality of invigilation and supervision as between good, very good, and excellent. Excellent was at 9%. Very good was, I think, 28, and then good was, I think, 22 or so. So if you put the three together, it gave you 61%. We launched this report on the 28th of October and published it on 30th on our website. It was a public launch. And so if you look at it, it suggests that invigilation was not bad, it was good. To that extent, you would expect that Kofi Asare, who previously was relying on APO or relying on answers, collusion to pass, may now struggle, and his results will not be the same because he didn't prepare well. So you would expect that some level of impact will happen on the general how do you call it, more practice data, and then secondly on the results. How the impact plays out, we don't know as yet. But I just want to say that those interventions are exogenous ones that impact on performance. Third is the policy regime. Look, we've been monitoring WASSCE since 2019. For the first time, the Ministry of Education, the minister pronounced that any teacher found participating in examination malpractice will be outrightly dismissed. That has never happened. Because even in the GNS's own code of conduct, if you are found participating in examination malpractice, you are, first of all, suspended. Dismissal is the last resort. And so for most first-time offenders, they are not dismissed outrightly. And I have many examples of a teacher who was teaching management and living during the paper in St. Jerome Senior High School. We have a full video, about 45-minute video. He went through the disciplinary process. Within 2-3 years, we found him that he had become an assigned master academic in the same school. When we inquired, we were provided information from the District Education Directorate that he has been sanctioned according to the GNS Code of Conduct, and that he was suspended, and he is back. And so now he is academic headmaster. That was consistent with the Code of Conduct, which we had a problem with, because we thought it wasn't biting. The sanctions weren't deterring. So when we saw the Minister for Education announce that this time around it's outright dismissal, obviously you would realize that those bad teachers, those few bad teachers, who would normally risk, would now think twice, because it's now a high-risk business. Your professional license is on the line, your job is on the line. So all this, and then the GNS also asked headmasters to sign an undertaking. The undertaking ensured that headmasters are held responsible for whatever malpractice happens in their school. So if you put all these three exogenous factors together, okay, vis-a-vis the possibly poor preparation towards examination, and then us waiting for the examination results to see where the gaps were, you will realize that it's a full bouquet of issues that could have or may have contributed to the decline in maths and social studies. Yes, but then as I say, nothing scientific has been done yet. For now, we are just looking at the possible factors that may have occasioned the results on our hands. And so let's wait. I'm told that the chief examiner's result should be ready by the end of the year. So let's wait. Once it's out, we'll see where the content issues are, so that the GES will push for interventions, support teachers, motivate them so that they can have interventions, prepare the students better, especially in the areas where they struggle. And then, at the same time, we'll continue to emphasize that the government must uphold and continue to strengthen invigilation, strengthen question security, to improve the integrity of the assessment processes.
Results will go lower than now. What are you saying? Okay, but I mean, I withdraw that statement though. But just to make it concise, because I know that you have to also attend to other interactions on other platforms, since you've always been the foremost entity that we always resort to for these interpretations. Over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, we've had a number of interventions. There have been PASCOs. I remember 32 million, 2 budgetary years, so 64 million supposed to have been used by the students. And then we had tablets. They said they had PASCOs inside the tablets, or on the tablet, so to speak, all those things. And then I made a scenario here. Students were not repeated. And sometimes when the BEC results came, we found that, I mean, statistically, we will not say they form a huge number, but from basic level, they are with very extremely poor grades, and they get into the system like that. Whilst we don't tend to find their niche and try to improve their IQ levels and find things for them to do within the education system. I mean, we've done all these interventions. Can we then say, by way of question, the chicken has come home to roost?
I think that all those that you mentioned played key roles in our examination outcomes. The past questions were helpful. The interventions were helpful. I'm not too sure whether the interventions are still as effective as they used to be. But it's either the government or PTAs or alumni supporting interventions, especially in the last semester, so that more extra tuition, guidance on how to answer questions, etc., more engagement in those areas are done in some schools. I don't know whether it's in all schools, but there's a need to strengthen. I think that all those that you mentioned are important, and if properly implemented, they always contribute positively towards examination outcomes. From the policy perspective, what I think we should do is that we have to strengthen engagement, teacher-student engagement, especially in the final semester, prepare them adequately in how to write examination. Look, I spoke to about 4 teachers in 4 category A schools. All these teachers were invigilators, okay, and doing the core maths, okay, yes. And then 2 of them are actually maths people. One tells me that immediately after the paper, he knew they would struggle because they started complaining that I think there's a topic called circle theorem. And according to that particular teacher, that's an area they struggle a lot. But this time around, the question wasn't a standalone question. It was laced. I mean, it was woven into more than one set of questions. And so anyway, they will meet a circle there. I don't know. I think I remember circle when we were doing O-level. I remember circle. I also didn't like it. So you see, the point I want to make is that all these things border largely on adequate student preparation. We don't know how inadequate the space for preparing for examination is in our senior high schools because of the length of time students spend in school. And so always should try as much as possible to make sure that you improve the time on task. Okay, you improve the contact hours within the limited time they spend because of among others the double track. In the past, we've seen a lot of interventions in that area. The interventions still continue in many schools, but it appears that there's a coordination deficit. And some of the schools I spoke to, they said that the interventions being supported by alumni groups. Others were saying that PTA. It would be good that the GES coordinates these interventions and motivates teachers to do this extra work because we don't have enough days to spend in school. And so you definitely have to do extra work and support them with extra allowance. That's very, very important. I can't verify, but there's one school where the teacher said that the intervention money didn't reach them. It comes to the school, but it doesn't reach the teachers. If the GES is coordinating the interventions, they will know whether teachers are actually receiving the motivation or not. And then they will know how effective the interventions are being deployed. And so, for me, as I'm saying, it is an opportunity to review and strengthen the learning process, especially the pre-examination learning process. That is 1. 2, an opportunity to remind students that this time we have moved into an era where there are very, very, very biting implications for examination malpractice.
Okay.
There's zero tolerance for examination malpractice.
Okay.
Teachers are being prosecuted. About 19 so far are being prosecuted. And so they should not prepare for examination with the intention that they will have support from teachers, as we've seen in years past. That change in behavior, okay, must be facilitated through behavior change communication, so that the student will prepare to go to examination rooms independently with no expectation of support from anywhere. If these two things are done, I think that we should be able to even improve upon the performance in all the, not just the maths and social studies, but all the subject areas.
All right.
That's what I believe. And so let's wait for the chief examiner's report. But let's continue to encourage WAEC. In our report, which we published in October, you realize that there was a question about the number of invigilator visits. Realize that, sorry, the number of external supervisors visits by WAEC, realize that it has improved. Okay. WAEC visited the centers, the 150 centers. They were there at least on 4 or 5 occasions. And that was great. Okay, so as we continue to invest in WAEC's surveillance and monitoring systems, continue to strengthen the sanctions regime for teachers participating or invigilators participating in malpractice, etc. Let's also help change the mindset of students, not to rely on collusion or apport.
All right.
And then more independent in their preparation, and let's strengthen interventions in the areas where there are gaps. If we do this, we should be able to improve generally student performance going
Thank you so much, Kofi Asare, always on hand to help us when he has to. Mr. Kapi, your last words. Can we go one round, then you say the last words?
So just let me, because there are other people who are trying to get to me, so let me just finish with this.
All right.
That Mr. Kofi Asare has said a lot. Basically, what we would also want done is for teachers to prepare the candidates adequately, get them to know, to test themselves on a number of questions before they appear in examination hall. People should avoid making attempts to assess the candidates in the examination hall. We are not helping ourselves. The future of education will be bleak if we go in that direction. We should award grades to people who deserve them, and those who are not really strong, we prepare them for remedial examinations.
Remedial. Mr. Kapi,
yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Have a good day.
All right. I mean, not to take anything away from the work that WAEC has done for this one. Kwekubai, Doc, yeah. Charlie, Asama to you. I love your.
It's worrying.
So without the assistance, the students fell.
They confirmed everything I said.
Yes, they just fell.
There
was no room for you to go and write anywhere on the board, to go around the students to teach them. No room.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Let me say a good morning to my co-panelists here, and then also to wish my godfather, who today is in the OT region, meeting the people of Boem.
Who is your godfather?
Honorable Kennedy Japan.
Okay.
He's in the OT region from today to, stop this, to on the 3rd.
Where was he when he was saying people think that he's afraid? He's not afraid.
That was in
Takwa.
Because
he was giving, the Cape Coast vibe. What did he say? Showdown skills. I thought he said he had stopped.
No, it was because of some of the threats that has been coming to some of the delegates from the former member of parliament, who thinks that they should be in a scam, and then goes around threatening them. If you don't vote for my candidate, I'll take you off the album. You are not going to vote again and all that.
So he win, eh?
Yes, we are winning. We will definitely have a new leader of MPP.
We are winning.
1st of January.
I thought MPP has boycotted.
Oh, no.
Please go ahead. We're talking WAEC, BEC, WAEC.
We're doing BEC.
Kwekubuahin, PhD, please, let's go.
Listen, Ro, I find it quite disheartening when some of these things come into the public space. This is on a national discourse, putting away every political angle. Listen, for 461,000 students to write an exam out of 1,021 schools. And we have these results that come out. We have about 7,000 students who brought foreign materials into the examination center, and so their results have been held. We have about 653 students who brought mobile phones into the examination hall. we have approximately 55.82 passing in social studies. And then about 196,000 students failing between E8 and F9 in social studies. When it comes to integrated science, we have 161,000 that fell in the same bracket and they failed. Mathematics, we have 48.73% that passed, which means approximately those that fell between their E8 and then F9 were 220,000 students. It means there's a problem with our educational system.
At that level, if not all levels.
Yes. Yeah. It means we are going through a problem that I don't think we should even politicize anything, because when it comes to the education of our wards, our brothers, our sisters out there, and then the foundation must be the right educational system. Okay? And if we get it wrong, it means that we are down for. We are done for.
The whole
as
generation.
A country. Yes, the whole generation is gone. And education, if it's supposed to be a good foundation where students will go through this and then will fashion what they have to become in future, then Ghana must set up. And we must have, I think we should have a national consensus to some of these things, discussions. You see, I feel bad for somebody who has ever been in a classroom before. And then you look at what is happening in our educational system today, where we are being told that people went to do examination halls with mobile phones, with questions that have been solved, and then we are being told that there were Apple. Yes, there were times that when you pick the chief examiner's report and you read it, over the past 3 years, okay, you will see that there will be a trend of questions that would reappear. It may not be in the same statement or in the same wording, but then they will rephrase them and all that. And then if you're a very good teacher and you do all these background checks and then you will prepare your students to meet whatever that is required of them when you go out there to the examination rooms. But then what do we see? For students to feel that it is their bona fide,
they are entitled.
They are entitled to have questions, or if you may, as my brother was, Lord Adamkwa was putting it, that they will bring them Apple, or they will bring them past questions, if you may, and then they will solve them and then would try and guide them. But then if you are solving past questions, it should be out of the examination hall. But then here we are told that teachers even write, they answer the questions and give them to the students. That, and then they watch out. They have people that will watch out and see that nobody is coming. It is scandalous for our kids to go through this. Listen, yes, we understand that students are not learning nowadays. They feel they must be relaxed, and then they will sit back home and then relax, and then the teachers will just spoon feed them. And then some teachers too will not be teaching. You go to some of the schools and then you find them sitting under some trees and chatting and all that.
TikTok generation.
And then, you see, teachers must sit up. Our kids have to sit up. And then we know that this free SHS and then the politicization of it, that yes, we did well. Free SHS came in and the students are doing well and all that. It also did not help matters. Because
this one, you are being nationalistic.
Yes. I'm not talking about any political whatever.
NPP, NDC.
Listen, this is the foundation of Ghana. If we get it wrong, we will be doing away with the social fiber of Ghana, and Ghana will not have that foundation or the mindset of good students who will lead this country tomorrow. So let's talk about it. You see, politicization of these things where people invested in the old thing that you talk about, the past questions, and then
32
were
million
given
each year.
to
64 million.
Students, and teachers have to solve them, and then it looks like we were guiding teachers to even do the wrong things. So instead of preparing the students towards the exams, they would rather sit and then answer questions and hand them over to them. This must not happen again.
Okay.
It will not be good for Ghana.
I love the passion with which you've spoken. What do you say Kenya Point is now? To the OT region? So my question to you, since you are coming from the academia, I remember 2, 3, 4 years ago, this professor, of course, it degenerated into MPP NDC. We're told that in the cohort of his university, he belonged to the NDC side or something like that. But he made a very cogent statement. I think he said he taught maths at the time, or it was somebody who was familiar with mathematics, and said there was no correlation with the grades that the students had on their WASI result sheet with their performance when they made entry into first-year university lecture halls. What's your own assessment and observation, let's say, over the last couple of years? And I'm using the last couple of years so that I don't get bogged down by you're trying to put a regime into anything. But clearly, your own observation. They have good results, but the output that you expect of somebody, let's say my time, and we are all the same year, 97, right? For example, when we were in school, we met O-level, A-level, that's upper 6, lower 6, and upper 6. You know, those 3 badges. At the end of the period, the way they learnt, that also had a certain influence on the way we did as well. The textbooks were voluminous. You read and read for nothing. No distractions, no internet, etc. So by the time you go, you're baked. You look at the performance of the students when they make entry first year, and you relate that to their grades. What's your own observation as a lecturer?
All right.
And so you will not be surprised with this.
Yeah, let me say good morning to our viewers. This is a difficult situation that we find ourselves. Before I go into that, Papa Ro, let me make a passionate appeal to the government. All right, with regards to roads. I took a journey to Bono region, precisely Doma. And you know, when you go through Kumasi, between Ekropon and Edujama, the road is terrible. Terrible. Papa Ro, I think that the Minister for Roads and Highways will be listening. Or boss, I should appeal to you.
Oh, he's listening. You know, we are doing a lot with the big push and everything, so don't worry. Okay. And the area you're talking about, I believe they have the drip machine.
Sure.
Yes, so they should be able to do the local construction. Yes.
Then from Gambia number 2 to Chiremesu, Amesu, terrible. And you look at the number of trucks conveying cocoa beans. Okay. Oh, I think that if the CEO for Cocoa Board, what's the name? Dr. Randiabe. You know, Dr. Randiabe completed NIPS, and so I taught his class.
I'm asking this question. You know
I'll go there.
You know the current cohort.
Don't worry.
They entered school which year?
I'm coming. Don't worry.
2023?
Yes. Don't worry. You see, Roland, that notwithstanding, you see, where we find ourselves, I've been doing some statistics with the laptop and some calculations here. It's terrible. Very, very terrible. Do know that from 2022, 2023, 2024, social studies has always been on the lead, above 70%. All right. Why is it that this year social studies got 55.82 and it is the worst performing subjects? That's a question we need to answer. All right. Now, if you compare 2025 results, subject by subject, you know, to 2022, 2023, 2024, apart from English language, Ro, I believe you are listening. Apart from English language, which did well, had 8.6% improvements. You know, that is between, when you do the comparison between 2022 and 2025. That was the only year that English language improved. All the other years, when you do the comparison with 2025, there were drops. There were drops. Except that the drops in English language, that is 2023, 2025, 2024, 2025, were somehow manageable. You understand? Now, if you pick social studies compared to all the subjects, when you do the comparative analysis, you will see that there has been a drop of 21%, 21.69%. That is serious. That is if you compare 2025 results in social studies to 2022. And this is not something that any country can be proud of. This is not something
What have we been doing wrong?
Bro, I don't know, but I'll all these questions, I'll answer them. Don't worry. You see, and I feel that in the first place, what the professor said back then was that he was actually ahead of all his peers, and for that matter, probably, Ghana Education Service, who probably didn't see what the professor saw then. And if it was a matter of seriousness, they could have sat down with him to find out why. You understand? We wouldn't have been here by now. We've had to follow that conversation. And as a teacher with experiences from the basic level through to the secondary level and to the university level, I understand why these things are happening.
Tell me.
Number one, the quality of teacher education has dropped.
Yeah. Since when did you notice this? Because you've never said this before.
I have noticed it when I was actually on the field teaching. And again, when I got to the university as a lecturer, I saw a sharp decline in the quality of students that we have. And if you trace back, you see, it will interest you to know. You know the reason why a lot more students want to join either police, immigration, army, and all that. Do you know why?
Tell me.
Because
their grades cannot be used at the university.
Exactly. They don't actually own their own results.
I'm telling you.
They don't have it.
They don't know what?
They don't own it. And
Legon Law School dismissed students who went to the law school with A's, with grade 8s. They dismissed them. So the results were not actually reflective of what they did.
Those results are not theirs. Like you were saying, like what the people you were interviewing were saying. I mean, what?
So you are saying that these are the real.
These are
let me
realities.
so I have a message. This one is coming from Yaukuma. Mr. Yaukuma says this group of SHS students whose result just came. Which years did they enter JHS? Which year did they also get admitted to SHS? And I am very sure the NDC government has got nothing to do with their upbringing. When the fundamentals are weak, the results will expose MPP.
So that is the political bit of it. Let him deal with it. All right. But my point is this. Look.
So what do you say to that?
Yes, so I've given you, were asking for factors, right? I've given you factor one.
Does this factor fall in line?
So if you want to fall in line, you want to know the ages of the teachers who are teaching them, at least from the basic level up to the senior high school level. All right. Then probably you will even know which regime admitted their own teachers. Which regime brought them from the basic level to the SHS and even to the teachers, how do you call it, the training colleges and all that, you see, colleges of education. You see, the point is this. When you look at teacher quality, it is dropping. It continues to drop, all right, because of some of these things. There was this minister somewhere in the first regime of JDM, all right, I think he became the Minister for Health, and I think he was jailed. All right. He made a profound statement and said that, look, the quality of
Minister of Health jailed in Ghana.
Oh, I think he's a governor.
Abuga.
He wasn't a minister.
Oh, no, Jida.
Okay, Jida, okay.
Yeah.
He said that.
That's Chana Paga.
Yes.
Member
People
of
were
Parliament.
forcing him to give protocol to their students, their wards to become medical doctors. I said that, look, this pressure on me, I can't do it. One, because if your ward is not qualified and you push me to get him or her that kind of degree, what happens? One day, when you yourself you are sick, the person will prescribe bad medication for you and you are dead. At a point in time, my own son, my own daughter, bad prescription, had it not been a D farmer, I would have been in trouble. The quality of teachers, quality of students we are having now. I mean, when we get to the university level, look, it's pathetic. You don't get students writing essays continuously, 2-3 sentences without making grammatical error. Spelling mistakes, subject-verb agreements. I mean, these are things that you begin to question where they are coming from. Who taught them? What kind of education did they receive? All right. The next thing is methods of teaching and learning. Or, you see, I heard them talk about the fact that some of the questions that were asked,
they twist them small or they conf.
You understand? And not even that, when you ask students to do practical, answer questions practically, or you put a practical question down, even at the university, people are struggling.
Okay.
Are struggling. More or less when you give them project assignments. That one, you'll be tagged. The lecturer, they'll give you the name. All right. So, you see, textbooks. I don't know the school that your children are attending, and I don't know any of us. Please, when you go home, take time. Read through their textbooks and see the quality of textbooks our children are reading. I don't know what NACA is doing.
But NACA was there. You didn't complain about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not a member of NACA.
I'm telling you. You won't say it. Now
yes, I have to say it. Why wouldn't I say it? You see, the quality of textbooks. When you go home, pick even storybooks written by Ghanaians. Read them. Yes, I need the politician.
Who was head of NACA? Am I?
You understand? The kind of people they give contracts to, the publishers that they give contract to. When we were in school, look at the quality of books that we were reading. I mean, you pick a mathematics book, 4S and co, and you are reading and you know that, yes. Look. Modern biology. These Nigerian writers are Fulayan and co.
They talk old school.
But what you can do comparison. Your question. Yes.
Charlie, gentlemen, thank you. My time is up. Sorry, I gave all the time to Africa Education Watch and WAEC. But gentlemen, I know you have.
Please let me land.
Yeah. So
let me land.
So I have this one from
Roland. You are not being fair to me.
No.
Roland, you are not being fair.
Okay.
You see.
Okay, land.
You go to certain schools and there's no even textbook for them to read. Availability of textbooks. We cannot even talk about facilities that students are using. Okay? And the last one, our children, our wards, the students that we are churning out now, they are not even conscious about themselves. They are not. And it is very pathetic that when you talk to somebody who is even in JHS 3, what do you want to become in future? The person is confused. So if you don't have a direction, you don't know the direction you are going, how do you become conscious of yourself? I think that some of these things, look, we need to know. You see, the statistics that are happening.
The problem is, same we now one can't.
Let's say we are mad.
because they say to create a platform yourself.
Because they say, So I have this one from Shistus. Good morning and thank you for this. He's an educationist, long-standing educationist. He says, how we show, especially headmasters, that teachers have completed their respective syllabi before the students wrote their respective papers. How will a teacher be able to adequately assess his students when he has a population of about 95 students, sometimes over 100 in one class? In some schools, extra classes are more effective than normal classes. Some teachers in such schools even find ways and means to make the students believe that until they attend their extra classes, they won't pass. And last one, he says, let's all remember that the current free senior high school system we're running is only 2.5 years. And sometimes the students even spend less than 2 years in the schools. And so the system in itself is not even 3 years. Remember, these students, this batch of students spent a lot of time at home, even before they wrote their exams, throughout the 3 years of the time that they were in school. I have a last message.
People are saying that you should request from the producer to give us time to
All
discuss it. People are saying I've received about 8 messages.
Are interested in it.
Yes. And then this one is coming from Araba. Good morning to you, Araba Segwa. Araba Segwa said most of these students, I know some of them, were promised help, but later when they got to the examination centers, they got disappointed. The helps from their teachers didn't come because of the directive. And it is good. This one is going to make us sit up. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We're taking a break. When we come back, we have the latest headlines in sports for you, but you also have to pep up your day the Milky Way with a rich, smooth taste of Peck milk shortcake. It is pure delight. And so they have various flavors. They have coconuts, they have choco filled, they also have the choco butter, as well as all the ones that you can ever find for Peck. Now, if you want to look smart and fashionable, make sure you visit any Woodin boutique nationwide, and you have to do that today because Woodin is offering amazing collection of authentic African fabrics all ready to wear, all coming in beautiful designs and colors for men and women. With Woodin, you get to be creative and versatile with your designs. You also get to be confident, and then you get to show off how truly African you are when you're wearing Woodin. So go to any Woodin boutique near you today. Also get to choose from their variety of trendy products, all meant to complement your unique style. Woodin Fashion is the name you have to look for Woodin across social media. Woodin Le Créateur. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. Thank you, gentlemen, for passing through. All right?
Today,